Well, we always say retirement is a journey, one that you shouldn't have to navigate solo. So that is why every week here on The Right Path to Retirement, we turn to financial advisor Jimmy Lynn, certified financial planner and the founder of Right Path Wealth Management right here in Las Vegas. All right, Jimmy, shall we get into some retirement talk?
I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. I want to kick things off with something that I think is on a lot of people's minds, and it's one of those topics that can sound like a future me problem until you realize that it's actually a right now planning problem, because the truth is people are living longer than ever. Retirement is lasting longer than ever. And a new study from John Hancock actually suggests that a 40-year retirement could be the new norm. So I'm wondering, Jimmy, what your thoughts on this are. Is this a realistic expectation for retirees, or is this maybe a little bit more of a scare tactic? What do you think?
I do not think it's a scare tactic. I think that, we just think about it logically. Times have changed. First of all, people are kind of wanting to jump into retirement earlier. I think part of it, Casey, is just social media, right? We are online seeing more people do fun things, and we're realizing that life after our working years can be phenomenal. So I think people are trying to plan for that, and ideally, many people are trying to retire a little bit earlier. So that's the first thing, is just people's mindsets on retirement and what they're going to do afterwards. They're so excited about it. So people are retiring earlier, it seems to me, at least starting to consider that. Mm-hmm. But then you add to that life expectancy. We know that we've just made some phenomenal advancements in the medical field. And I don't see that slowing down. Say what you want about AI, because it is something that's kind of causing a lot of disruptions, but it also, I think, is going to be one of those tools that's going to make medical research so much more valuable. And so I do see people living into their early 90s, into their hundreds, and you're going to have bills to pay during those timeframes, right? Most people that we speak to, they don't want to rely on their kids, or they may not even be able to rely on their kids or loved ones to take care of them during those years. So you got to make sure you have those resources available to you. So it's absolutely not hype. People are living longer, so it almost is like you have to reframe what retirement looks like and how you're going to fund retirement. Some of the traditional options, may not be applicable, or you may have to kind of be a little bit more creative as you're trying to plan for a longer retirement.
Well, I was going to ask you, if retirement is now potentially lasting this long, 40 years, what are the biggest risks that people need to be thinking about? Or how do we need to look at this differently than when we were planning for retirement, say 20, 30 years ago?
I think it's about diversification. It's about not, traditionally what people do is they may turn on their Social Security. We have a lot of people that want to turn on their Social Security early because in their mind, they're thinking, well, you know what, I can die in a few years, and I never collected a dime from Social Security. And so I think that that mindset is a little bit short-sighted, and it may be true. Right, you could get hit by a truck before you start collecting those Social Security checks. But what we're seeing is the opposite can also be true, is that you can have that 40-year retirement. So when you start thinking from that mindset, oftentimes it makes sense to do things like delaying your Social Security, because as many of the listeners may know, you can actually delay your Social Security until age 70, and that gives you the highest benefit amount for your situation. And so you're going to be very thankful in your later years if you have that 40-year retirement, because those paychecks are going to be larger, because they do get inflation adjustments or cost of living adjustments typically every year. So looking at retirement and where you're going to pull income from a different lens, that could be things like I said, delaying Social Security. It could also mean having different investment buckets, not necessarily solely relying on the stock market as your only source of income. Because when we're talking about 40 years, Casey, we're also talking about 40 years of volatility. Like a lot could happen in a 40-year period. If you just go back the last 40 years, we had things like the dot-com bubble, we had the housing crisis, and things like that will happen. That's just unavoidable. So you have to plan for things like that.
So do you think it's fair to say that this, potential 40-year retirement, it's not about scaring people, but it's really about getting retirees to think differently about their time that they spent in retirement?
Correct. It's really just about planning for it. It's not a scare tactic. I mean, I would love to have a 40-year retirement, but you also have to plan for it. You can't have a cookie cutter approach where you're going to turn on Social Security at 62, and then you're going to follow some, old strategy like the 4% rule, where we're going to hope our investments grow at a certain rate, and we're going to pull that 4% out, and hopefully that lasts for 40 years. I think those types of strategies can get us in trouble. We want a little bit more of a foolproof, or at least as much as we can, a bulletproof type strategy where we have some guaranteed income sources that are kind of not tied to the market. So as we see those ups and downs in the stock market from every news cycle, we don't have all of our money going up and down on that roller coaster ride. So just having some more diversification, looking at things like maybe creating other income streams like an income annuity we've talked about, but it's quite honestly just being able to plan for all scenarios. And one of the biggest scenarios that we think is the new normal is potentially that 40-year retirement.
Well, have you had people come in to see you, Jimmy, and, they think they're in good shape because in their minds, they're maybe planning for a 20, 30-year retirement at most, but then you get into that conversation, you start talking about longevity. You talk to them about how long their parents and their grandparents lived. And then you actually see that we kind of need to crunch the numbers for a potential longer time horizon. Have you had that happen?
Yeah. So the trouble or a mistake a lot of people make is they kind of base their life expectancy on maybe their parents or their grandparents. But like I said, Casey, medical advancements have changed, and we are seeing people, and as part of it, social media has also taught us that we have to live healthier lives, so people are getting into things like pickleball to keep themselves active. And so I think that you can't necessarily just look at your family history and think, hey, you know what? None of my parents lived past like 84. So I think that's probably what I got to plan for, because we do see people changing. And so we have those conversations a lot. And, luckily we have the tools in place that can really map out what a 40-year retirement could look like. And some people that we speak to, when they start seeing where there could be holes in their plan if they live too long, it kind of reframes retirement and opens up their eyes. So yeah, we have those conversations all the time because, your retirement may not mirror what your parents or your grandparents look like.
So would you think that the bigger risk for when we're planning for a potential 40-year retirement is the bigger risk running out of money, or is it just not having a plan that's going to adapt over time? Is it a combination of both?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's going to be both because you have a higher likelihood of running out of money if you don't have a proper plan, because you're basically, when you set up a plan that doesn't account for all scenarios, you're going to basically assume that when you set up your plan, most things you're going to be able to predict are going to happen over a 40-year period. And we know that nothing is predictable when we look at a 40-year time frame. So we have to account for all different scenarios, all market conditions, things like inflation, things like interest rates. So yeah, I think that running out of money is a real fear, and it is because you may not have properly planned. Good news, Casey, is these are some of the things that we talk about in our offices and we talk about in those complimentary discovery calls. So if anyone out there, they want to make sure that their plan is as bulletproof as possible for their scenario for not running out of money, we'll do our best to kind of talk them through different things that they want to consider. Obviously, nothing is bulletproof, but you want to put yourself in the best position for successful retirement. So we can have that conversation. People want to get on my calendar. They just got to call 702-744-8344, and we can kind of walk them through their scenario.
That is going to do it for us this week. We will be back next week, same time, same place, with more great insight from certified financial planner Jimmy Lynn here on The Right Path to Retirement. Take care.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Right Path Wealth Management. Right Path Wealth Management is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Right Path Wealth Management are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Any reference to the protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Right Path Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Right Path Wealth Management.
Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations, wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships.